what's up, Ray of Sunshines? I am your girl, Talisa Rae, and we are reviewing The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 3, Episode number 6, I Came from Jesus. Yes, baby. I came from Jesus. If it's your first time visiting my channel, what up, though? Go ahead, click that red subscribe button to become a ray of sunshine and that notification bell, everybody, so you'll be alerted of all the videos I upload going forward. So listen, so we're posting every day in May, but yeah, I missed a few days because I was in Vegas. That's why this is late. You'll have to forgive me, but I will be back on track on Sunday. Hope you're going to watch it anyway. Well, if you're watching it, you're watching it. So when the episode opens, we see Miss Karen sitting by herself, and in walks Ray. Actually, before he walks in, I kind of get the feeling that Karen is feeling a little isolated, a little detached from her husband, from Ray. And when you look at their conversation and their connection, it's not really one. It almost has me looking like, are they sleeping in separate rooms? Like, that's the vibe I get. It doesn't feel authentic like a relationship should, especially one of, what, 30 years? Is that how long they've been married? I don't know. If y'all know, let me know down below in the comments. But it doesn't feel authentic. But what we see is that Karen trying to really separate her identity from Ray. Even though her finances are quote unquote separate from Ray's, she is still his wife, right? He is still the main breadwinner of the household. So she is now starting, you know, a fragrance company, trying to develop a she's trying to develop a fragrance to sell to market of her own. And, you know, they're talking jibber jabber about it, and he's giving her some advice, and she's like, I have learned a few things or two about financing or finances. She does ask him for a little help. I may need your help. Could you assist me? And he pretty much is like, no. You know, it's better if you do this on your own. You'll feel more accomplished. Like, what the fuck? You got all that money? Or maybe he don't. Maybe he needs, you know, to focus on his tax issue. But then it also just makes me again feel like, are they still a unit? It's feeling kind of funny here. Monique had a lot going on. Monique had a whole lot going on. So let's come back to Miss Monique. We see Giselle briefly by herself when she's packing, and she's saying, you know, I got a lot of stuff going on, and you know, with the everyday Hugh, with the kids, you know, trying to maintain her own social life, and then with Sherman, and Sherman's acting a little funny. Ladies, you know when they be acting funny. They may not think that we know, but we know, and we want to know what's wrong so we can fix it, fellas. If you don't tell us what's wrong, then we don't have a clue. I know God made women communicators, but you guys know how to talk and be able to express yourselves. Like, say it, and don't let me just be talking by myself trying to figure it out and pull it from you, especially if you want this thing to work. If you don't want this thing to work, then let me go. That's my advice to anybody who's trying to check for me, okay? Let me go if you don't have the same goals as I have. Let me go. So we go and we see Ashley and her husband, Michael, are bike riding. It's so that they reconnect, because they connected when they first met on the adrenaline junkie kind of feel. They, you know, adventurous outdoor kind of people, and so that's how they connected. And so they needed to get back to that place where they were in love, where they, you know, first met. But when they stop, they have a heart-to-heart conversation. And what does it surround itself with again? It surrounds itself about Ashley letting go of her mother, the clutch, and helping her mother. Michael is saying the same thing he's been saying. You need to cut her off. You need to cut her off. And so this time Ashley has a plan. Ashley's like, well, we need to help her for a little while. A couple months is what she said. We need to help her for a couple months, you know, to kind of wing her off. And he's all like, well, what's the consequences? And she was like, I'm not sure yet. I don't know. But here's my thing. At least now Ashley is seeing that something needs to be done. She does not want to live in Tent City with her mother and her mother's boyfriend and her sister. That's not her goal. So she is trying to make some steps towards cutting off her mom, you know, by first, you know, okay, I don't want to debilitate her and then they out homeless. You know what I'm saying? I want to gradually step her into this. So there's a plan. And unfortunately, Michael's not having it. And I'm feeling like right now, I understand that it's tough, you know what I'm saying? And you've been asking her to do this for a while, but you got to meet her halfway if you love her. And when she asked him, so what are my consequences? And he was like, you know, quiet. And she was like, well, if the consequences are to leave me, then let's not wait until then. Let's just get it over with, because this is what's going to work for me. This is my mother. Y'all, I know I'm kind of torn. I'm like, okay, compromise. And in the next breath, I'm all like, well, he's been, you know, supporting her mother and her mother's boyfriend forever. So I'm kind of torn between the two, because everything in marriage is compromise and communication. You know, commitment, compromise, and communication, the 3 C's. We'll have to talk about that one day, maybe Thursday. So then we see Robin, and we see Robin briefly by herself, and she's also packing for this treat to Nemacolin. Am I saying that right? And in walks Juan with some shoes, and she gets excited about it, like, oh, thank you, it's so sweet. And she gives him a hug. And one of the babies say, oh, you should kiss. Well, that kiss was awkward as fuck, but she knew it too. She was like, well, that was awkward, right? Awkward as fuck, but whatever. You did it for your sons, I suppose. And, well, we also see Robin talking about her new business venture, flipping houses with her mom. And she's all like, I pulled my mom in because she's the only one I can trust. Absolutely, after your best friend and ran off with all your money and fucked you over. And yes, why you in the situation that you in with Juan, and that was why you were in the financial situation. You can't trust anybody but you know, you be like, I can't trust nobody but my mom. But then that made me think about Southern Charm New Orleans and Jeff and how his mama did him. Y'all watch my Southern Charm New Orleans reviews. The last episode, I think it was 4, is going to be up tomorrow. So Monique, let's talk about Monique before we get into Nemacolin. When we see Monique, Shanice, Ashley, and Candace meet up to go for, what is it called? The Rejuvenation and Recovery Lab called District Cryo. And it's where you get into this freeze chamber. You get in there and it's supposed to help, you know, like jumpstart or revitalize your blood. And then they sat in these chairs for massages, you know, to help get the blood circulating. I kind of really think I want to do some shit like that too. Let's see. What was funny was Monique really doesn't like Giselle, do she? She was like, well, if she was ugly, child, she'd be pretty much implying she'd be in a world of trouble because she's stupid. Oh, okay. That's when you know you don't like somebody, when you be like, if she wasn't cute. During their little session, their spa session, or whatever you want to call this cryo session that they had, they were talking about the shade that Giselle was throwing, and Charisse, as her friend, came to her defense, which she should have done. I feel like that's what you do. Well, especially if you think that she was not throwing shade, that you opened up Pandora's box and these are the questions that you had to ask, then definitely you should defend her. Because then she went on to say, well, since your mother pays for everything, did she pay for your ring on your finger? Now, let me tell you something. I felt that shade all through the thing, through the TV. I was like, oh, that might have been a bit too much. You might have went just a tad bit too far with that. But it is a valid question, because Chris may got some change, but can he afford that fat ring? Possibly. He probably got an 800 credit score. He most likely has an 800 credit score, and credit can get you anything. Okay, get your loans, get your credit, get your whole lot of shit. Okay, let's just be honest. He probably could afford it with his payments, you know, $300 a month, whatever he paying, y'all. Anyway, so as you can see, it doesn't look like Charisse is really feeling Candace too much, right? Right now, I don't feel like, man, they don't seem like they gelling really well. So then we see the 3 young women, Ashley, Candace, and Monique meet up for shopping for Nemacolin. And while they're there, I noticed that Monique has a hell of a body. All 3 of those ladies' bodies are all snatched and pulled together. But they're giving Candace advice saying, listen, you cannot let these women run you. It was shady what Cherise said. It was shady what Giselle said. And you got to call a spade and put them in their place right away. Now, that's good advice, but there's always a way to do stuff so that people aren't offended, right? And there's a reason I'm saying that, and you know it already. Ashley goes on to say, I think it was Monique that said, well, what's the room situation? I see that there's 2 master suites, and who's going in what master suite? And so Ashley says, well, I was thinking about putting Candace and Giselle together. And Candace is like, oh, hell no. And then she was like, I was thinking about putting Candace and Cherise together. And she was like, no, she was super disrespectful. That was disrespectful what she did. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think that her asking about that ring was as disrespectful as they're making it out to be? We see Candace also open up and start crying about her mama, you know, thinking she's still a little girl, as you can see here right now. That's a soft spot. Like, my mother's not letting me grow up. Like, all of this stuff, I really like how they Bravo put this stuff together so that we could see what happens and why things explode the way they do. Like, I really like the way they edited this episode, y'all. Y'all with me on that? And just because you like the Real Housewives of Potomac, and just because you stopped by for my review, go ahead and click the like button right now. Give it a thumbs up. Yeah, you right now, all of you. So then what we find out is that after they go shopping, Monique and Ashley go have lunch and a few drinks, and we see that Monique has fallen asleep behind the wheel and had an accident. Now, fortunately, she wasn't hurt and she only hit one tree, but, you know, she fell asleep. She fell asleep at the wheel, and when we saw that, I thought to myself, she really needs to slow down. Not like how fast she's driving, but she needs to slow down. She's taking care of those 2 babies by herself. She doesn't have a nanny. She's got several business ventures going. She's trying to be this great wife. And if this is something that she isn't used to doing and isn't used to juggling, she's going to have to figure out how to slow down to get good rest, adequate rest, etc. But we find out that maybe she had a few too many drinks. So now let's talk about Nema Colin. All the ladies meet up at Monique's house. And this is where Ashley makes mention of the drinks that Monique had. Like, girl, you know, in the confessional, like, girl, you know it wasn't just you was tired. You had too many drinks. She had 3 or 4 drinks. Monique, we find, says she had 2 or 3 drinks. And we know 2 or 3 drinks. And mixed with sleep deprivation is pretty bad. Sleep deprivation plus alcoholism is not a good... Not alcoholism. Lord, she's not an alcoholic, I hope. And too many drinks may not be a good combination. It could quite possibly be deadly. But buzz drinking is drinking and driving. So they get on this party bus limo type thing so that they all can ride together up to Nema Colin for this beautiful weekend that Ashley has planned. And they start talking about how she found the place and she had only been there once, and that she used to live in a trailer park. And here's Giselle. Giselle, though I like her partly because she's a Virgo and very blunt and says what the fuck she wants to say regardless, but we need to learn how to do it out of loving kindness, is all like, oh, so your third home was a trailer park home? Like, Giselle, come on. Everybody hasn't always had money. Everybody hasn't always been part of the upper echelon. A lot of people started from the bottom and now they're there, right? Child. But as they continue to talk, Monique is now messy Monique, because was it necessary for her to bring up the conversation from District Cryo about the comment that Cherise made regarding Candace and her ring and her husband and her mother? Was that necessary? Was this the appropriate time? You just want to fill people in, or are you being messy Monique? I really err to the side of her being messy, because everybody didn't need to know right now. It is something that Candace could have addressed alone by herself. Y'all know how I feel about addressing shit in group settings. It gets hostile, it gets volatile, and that is exactly what the fuck happened. Because, you know, Candace is all like, well, I wasn't really throwing shade. It's a valid question. You said your mother takes care of everything. It's a valid question. I'm going to ask y'all again. Was it a valid question? Absolutely not. It's none of your fucking business who pays for what in her household. I mean, once you open up Pandora's box, as nosy as we are, right? We're going to ask questions, especially if you're nosy and you've been around the block and you know what it's like to struggle in a relationship and all that shit with finances. You kind of get a little nosy. So, but you open Pandora's box, but really it's not any of anyone's business. Sheesh. But here's the thing. Candace hit her with, Sharice was having a shady bitch moment. Now, all of a sudden, Sharice gets upset like a shady bitch. Like, you're calling me a bitch? Or, listen, how did y'all feel? Like, I think it was taken out of context and all contorted and out of proportion, because that's like saying you're acting like a bitch. Not calling you a bitch, but you got some bitch type behaviors. And when you think about the difference in age groups, right? They're in their 30s. So the big thing is bitch, hoe, bitch. Like, it wasn't meant to be offensive. At least that's how I feel. If you disagree with me, it's cool. I just want to know, and I want to know why down below in the comments. You could just tell me. Like, I would say, oh, she was having a shady bitch moment. Like, I don't really think that there was anything wrong with that. But I have a sister by love that would probably get in her feelings about that. And we're not that different we don't have that much difference in age where you would think that it would cause an issue. But you got to think about upbringing, backgrounds, and all that kind of stuff plays in effect when it comes to being called. Who you calling a bitch? Bitch. So it gets really heated to the point where they are now name calling. And so when Sharice starts to call her little girl or child or whatever, it hits a button with Candace. And the reason being is because her mother treats her like a child, like she's still a child. So of course it would be a trigger for Candace. So I really like that they had that vulnerable moment so that we could see that that is in fact a trigger for her. And you know, when your triggers go, that's it. And honey, she was coming for her. She said she was Hurricane Candace, Tornado Candace, Storm Candace. I don't know, but she was like, you know, they were old women, menopausal, geriatric. What did she say? Geriatric granny. Honey, she was coming for her. And it kind of threw Sharice for a loop, because Sharice's mouth isn't set up to come back like, yang. It really ain't. You know, and she had to go ahead and say, let me calm down. Because when your mouth ain't set up like that and you can't retaliate verbally, you do end up wanting to retaliate with your fist. Like, put your hands on somebody. I'm just saying, it is what it is. So they get to the resort. It is beautiful. They have phantoms waiting to take them out to their cottage, and they separated in cars. Pretty much the young girls and the more seasoned, wise, I don't know what the right word is because they aren't old. I'm in that age bracket. But they had Robin back there. And so Robin does kind of fit right in the middle of the two groups, right? Robin is probably in her late 30s, early 40s. Do y'all know how old she is? Let's see. Okay, Google. How old is Robin on the Real Housewives of Potomac?
Here is some information about the Real Housewives of Potomac.
Okay, well, I don't know. Let me know down below in the comments, because I'll have to do a little more research to find out how old she is. When they get in the car, the lady started talking about Monique is drinking a lot. I like drunk Monique better, but she's drinking a bit too much, and she's probably got too much going on in her house. I can't stand people that pass judgment on somebody that's uber righteous. Now, this is the one thing that I don't like about Giselle. Don't look at me and judge my situation. We are on vacation. I'm drinking. I have a lot going on in my life. I'm going to let my hair down because, honey, she would not have wanted to be with me in Vegas or my family, because she would have been looking like, oh, they all too drunk. Again, there's that age gap. And between the two of them, I think between the two groups, it's about 10 years age gap. Age difference. Age gap. I keep saying gap. Age gap. So you're talking about two different generations when you get 10 years, two different pretty much generations, and they kind of think a little differently. So in the other car, you see Monique is really trying to pit Candace against Giselle every chance she gets. But they forget that Robin is in the car, right? And hears all this. And Robin is going to go back and tell, because, listen, Robin's loyalty is to Giselle, not to any of them bitches in the back there. But when we get down to their first meal, lunch, when they arrive, right? They have a personal chef there, and he's cooking their dinner or lunch or whatever. And all of a sudden, Giselle needs to mind her own business. Talking about, I think you owe Charisse an apology. Okay, so Charisse is the glue that brought all the girls together for the show. That's also part of the reason that Charisse is still very much active in the season versus being a Real Housewife and a friend. Nevertheless, I was like, Giselle really needs to mind her own damn business. Like, why is this any of your business? Let them hash this out themselves. And I want to know, who do you think needs to apologize? Is it Candace for calling Charisse geriatric granny and having shady bitch moments? Or do you think it's Charisse for saying that, asking if her mother bought the ring, right? Her engagement ring. I think that they both should probably apologize just to clear the air. Even if one doesn't think the other should, they both were wrong in one fashion or another. So apologies need to be had all the way around. You then see Candace. This is where the shit hits the fan. Candace says, well, both Charisse and Giselle, you're hypocrites. You're both kept women. Right? Call a spade a spade. Giselle is just now really having her own business every hue or whatever, right? But she did say the truth. They're both kept women. Is it any different? I got lots of questions that y'all need to answer. I want to know, is it difference between your mother taking care of you and a man taking care of you? You're still being kept. Is there a difference? I have an opinion, but I really just want to see what yours is and how you feel about it. But all of a sudden, I guess a nerve was hit because Giselle and Candace start going back and forth. And Candace starts reading the riot act, talking about with your wig. Well, Candace, you got a wig on too. But anyway, your wig and your bejeweled army jacket and just on and on and on. And I could see the Virgo in Giselle starting to fester and bubble up. And when I say that, I mean the one that goes on attack. You need to shut your motherfucking self up. Like, what? I knew that was coming. That's the kind of shit that festers and turns into blows. Honey, where is this gonna go? I can't wait till this Sunday coming up so that we can see what happens next at Nema Colon. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys thought about this episode. Ooh, this review seems kind of long. I had a lot to say. I don't know. I am your girl, Talisa Rae. Thank you so much for watching my review of The Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 3, Episode 6, I Came From Jesus, which I didn't mention. But that was, where'd she come from? I came from Jesus. It would have been important. But whatever. Hugs and kisses and lots of love. I'll see you on the next video.